Hi, and welcome to this edition of Business Supes, where we talk to successful local business owners, learn a little bit about them, their business, and of course, their business superpower. Today, I am joined by Nate Gormley from Oklahoma Fence. Nate, welcome. Thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
You're very, very welcome. So we always like to start off with the origin story. So tell us a little bit about yourself and your business.
My name's Nate Gormley, born and raised here in Oklahoma, southeastern Oklahoma, small town, Stigler. Graduated high school there. Been in Tulsa area for about the last 15 years. Life took a nasty turn for me about graduating high school, led to drugs and alcohol for almost 20 years. Got really, really bad. Turned things around in 2016. That's when I entered treatment. Been sober ever since. Started the business in November of 2016. Was actually still living at the treatment center. And the business is now Oklahoma Fence and Construction. It did not start off that way. It started off anything you're willing to pay me for that is not illegal, I'm willing to do. It consisted of a lot of leaf raking, lawn mowing, tree trimming, even walked a lady's dog once. And it evolved into what is now Oklahoma Fence and Construction. Pretty early on, I realized my mission was not really to be a company of any sort. It was to build people that were broken just like myself. And so I tell people all the time, we're really a company that builds people, and those people just happen to build fences.
That's quite a story and really inspirational. You know, the power of the human spirit. So you talk about building people. So what do your typical workers look like, and where do they come from?
They look about like I looked in August of 2016, which broken at rock bottom, which everybody bottom's relative, it's a little bit different for everyone, but typically
Right.
the people coming to work for me aren't the people who just went out and got one DUI and decided to turn their life around. They're the people that been banging their head against this game we call life for the last long time, and are finally willing to do something different. So, I mean, a lot of people that have been incarcerated, a lot of my first employee, he was 30 years old and had never had a driver's license, had been in prison in and out since he was 18. But he was ready to do something different. We was ready and he was willing. And I could see that in him because I had been in that same spot. Mm-hmm. And that I remember that's whenever I thought this is what we're going to do. I really felt like that's where I was led. I'm a staunch believer in my faith. So I really feel like that's where God was leading me. And I even remember having a conversation with God, like, man, this is a horrible business model if we're only going to hire these people. But I just really felt like that's what I was supposed to do. And I thought, if it doesn't work out, I'll blame the big guy. And it worked out. So here we are.
Nice. So where do you find your employees? I mean, do they come to you, or do you have like some centers that kind of focus folks towards you?
Well, for the most part, because I went to treatment here in Tulsa at a place called 12 and 12. It's now since been bought out by Grand Lake Mental Health, and so it has a different name now. But it was one of the few places that you could go in the state, and it didn't really cost you any money if you were technically homeless. It's state funded. And so having went through there, and then after inpatient lived there in what they call transitional living and started my business there, I kind of got a little bit of everybody knew me. And so I kind of just had people funneling to me straight out of 12 and 12 for still to this day. I get calls all the time as men and even some women are about to graduate and they need a job. Usually my people are the ones, they don't even know where to start to look for a job. Like they've never went in and asked for an application, and something like that just seems overwhelming to them. And they're like, I can just call this guy and he's like me. It's a lot less daunting. You know what I mean? And so for the most part, they've funneled me through 12 and 12, but I do, as the years have went on and I've gotten more successful, I've done a lot of speaking at other treatment centers. I'm really involved in the 12-step programs, across town. And so kind of famous in an anonymous society, you know. And so it's I never really had to go in especially this is what's really cool in this labor market today where everybody's looking for people. I haven't had to look ever. I've got a list of people that are just wanting to have a job. So
Wow. So when people come on board, is and it may change per person, but is the goal to have them come on board and stay, or is the goal to have them come on board and develop them and then help them figure out what they want to be and then move toward that?
yeah, so it's a little bit of both because if I'm really being true to my mission, which is building people, that means not everyone's going to want to build fences for the rest of their lives. Actually, very few do, and I don't blame them. It's hard work, and you know, and even if I were the largest fence company in Oklahoma, there's still, I mean, it's not it's not an extremely lucrative business. So I'm very limited on the amount, you know, the benefits and things like that I can offer. So for the most part, it's been, let's get you to being a normal, productive member of society. Let's get you through. Most of the time my employees are in either on probation or something like that. Let's get you through that stuff. Let's get you your driver's license back. We've gotten a lot of driver's license back over the years. And let's get you to where you are employable to other people across town. And then you don't even know who you are. You've been using drugs for the last 10, 15 years. Let's figure out who you are and what you like. Let's go chase that. So that's what it is for the most part. Now I've had several that have you know, worked for multiple years and I'm grateful for them.
You talk about growing and developing people. So do you have a program that you take them through, or is it a case by case basis? How do you grow them and develop them?
It's usually a case by case basis. I mean, I've sat down and kind of tried to write out a standard operating procedure, especially for getting the driver's license back. But it still is going to require me, for the most part, kind of speaking that hope into them, because a lot of times they're just like, they don't even think about it. They're just so broken. And so, they just don't know what's out there, you know? So it's usually me like, look, we can do this. I've done this before. This is what you got to do. And so there is a very, you know, step sequence and time to it. But I usually kind of have to nudge them, and then I'm like, you know, you do this much and I'll meet you halfway. A lot of times there's a reinstatement fee and the company's covered half the reinstatement fee for them. You know, we do things like that. I went down to the DMVs at 5:30 in the morning and waited with them in line so that they could, because they don't have they got to use one of my company trucks, you know, so that they could take the driver's test. And it's really, I mean, it is a really cool thing. I mean, it's just like, I mean, my daughter, she's not old enough to take her driver's test yet, but I got a feeling I've been just as excited to see license as I will be to see her get hers, you know? So yeah, it's kind of different. I mean, we start off, I want you to be in a sober living environment. So that kind of polices things for me. You know, I only hire addicts and alcoholics, and I can count on one hand how many times I've had to drug test someone, because for one, we're all addicts and alcoholics, so we can spot it pretty quick.
Yeah,
and then,
that makes sense.
I want them to be in a sober living environment, and those places are going to test as well. You know, I want you to be in there for a while, and then I don't really put a set time on it, but I say, when you're ready, when you think you're ready to do it on your own, then let's talk about it and let's have a plan. Because if you just up and one day you're in a sober living house, and then all of a sudden I find out you got your own apartment and you didn't tell anybody, that's a little sketchy, you know. So.
So do you take everybody who applies, or do you have certain rules and requirements that they have to reach or meet in order to be brought on as employees?
Yeah, I used to just try and kind of take if I had the workload, I would just kind of take whoever was wanting to come on. And since I've learned through trial and error, it's best that they have been through some treatment facility prior to coming to work for me. I've only had one over the years that had not been through treatment and has actually made it. He had to take a couple weeks off and just go detox. But typically, you can't trust them to detox. They need that help. They need that controlled environment. They want to. They just don't have the ability. So typically I want them to have been through some sort of a treatment center. That way they've got a little bit of time under their belt, 30, 60, 90 days, something like that. And then if we have the workload, we'll take them on. And then there's been a lot of times we've taken them on just because my heart just felt for them. And I thought, we'll get the work. And most of the time we did. So
Do when you go out to do a bid or something like that, is this something that you publicly share with potential customers? And do you have people who are like, no, I don't know that I want former addicts or
right.
People to be in prison in my backyard, front yard, whatever it might be? Is that ever an issue?
That was my fear. That's why I kind of had the conversation with God. Like, this is a horrible idea. Nobody's going to hire us. And over the years, it has been the number one reason that has got us more business than anything else. So we landed a couple jobs with with a commercial contractor for that reason. We've been on, all the news channels and people see what we're doing. And so I don't go when I'm doing an estimate. It's not something that I just advertise, but most of the time people have been on our website. They've seen the video, or they've seen any of the ads that we've done, any type of marketing campaign that we've done. The core that is at the core of what we're selling, is that we're about building people, and these are the kind of people. It's not any secret or anything like that, but it's not something that I'm going to like warn them per se, but to be honest, I don't know if there's jobs that we've missed for that reason. I don't know about it. And I kind of just had this, I kind of resided to the fact that if that was a problem, then that just wasn't the customers that we were going after. And we've worked in the nicest areas in Tulsa. You name it, the nice area, Tulsa, Owasso, Scott, any of the nice areas, we've been in all of them. So.
Very cool. Yeah. Well, and I think people like to be a part of something, and they like to know that their money is going towards something more.
Right. And if you think about this, I'm sure you probably personally know someone that is close to you that has suffered from addiction or alcoholism.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the case for everyone. Their uncle or their aunt or their mom or their dad, and that's who they see that they're helping. And so it's, like I said, if it's been an issue for anyone, I don't know about it.
You said it's Oklahoma fence and construction. So is it predominantly wood fence? Do you do, any of the wrought iron? What kind of fencing do you do?
So we do basically every type of fence except for vinyl. We don't do a lot of the white vinyl stuff. And then the end construction side of that would be the gates and gate operating systems. And occasionally on a larger commercial job, we may do some dirt work. We have some heavy equipment. We have a skid steer, a mini excavator, and stuff like that. So, if it's usually tied to the fence, that would kind of be the end construction aspect to it. And like I said, the big, like we do a lot of the big fancy commercial gates that are automated, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, very cool. So what's your outlook for 2023? What do you see happening with Oklahoma Fence?
Outlook is really great. And this is crazy. This is kind of the first time I've shared this with anyone, but I've been feeling like for a while, if we could get into the manufacturing sector instead of the construction sector, we could help a lot more people. And I feel like I see an opportunity to do that in 2023, because construction isn't for everyone. And my mission is about building people. We've got a good fence company and we can help a lot of people, but I could be the largest fence company in Oklahoma and I can still maybe only reach 20 people,
Right.
maybe. And it's going to predominantly be men because it's hard work, it's manual labor. But in manufacturing, there's a home for everyone. There's sales, there's marketing, there's assembly, there's painting, things like that. And instead of a $100 million a year market, it's like $1 billion a year market in the state, right? So I see some possibilities for that in 2023, and that's really where I'm trying to take us.
Very cool. So what are some of the challenges that you guys have experienced recently?
We always suffer not everyone makes it. So that's always been a challenge. If you just look at statistics of long-term sobriety for someone that has been an addict or an alcoholic for a number of years, the statistics aren't good. Like, some will tell you 1%, some will tell you 10%, and I can tell you it's somewhere in between the two. So that's always a challenge. But for us, every time the labor, the workload has went up, we've just been able to land the people. So that's always been a challenge. Inflation was a huge challenge for us. That really got us. COVID didn't really affect us that much. Actually, COVID kind of helped us because people were sitting at home looking at their fences that they needed to fix. And so we actually seen a spike in sales post COVID, but a lot of that, the inflation really hurt us on a lot of that. Other than that, just your typical things any other business would struggle with.
The question that started it all, what would you say is your business superpower?
Without a doubt, building people. That's 100% what I'm about. It's figuring out, what are you good at? What makes you you? How can we play to your strengths? Let's not work on your weaknesses. Let's figure out what you're good at and let's get you even better at that. I'm 100% about empowering people, building people. And I feel like I do that. God takes care of the rest. I don't deal with outcomes. I'll let the big guy deal with that. Right. I just do what I feel like he's put me here to do. I do that. And you know what? Every year has been better than the previous year. So without a doubt, it's building people.
Nice. So take those talents and multiply them, right?
Right. That's right. Absolutely. 100%.
Very nice. So what advice would you have for fellow business owners?
Man, and I've been talking about this a lot across town at different companies, and it's tapping into this untapped labor source. There's a right and a wrong way to do it. So I encourage them to consult with me before they do it, but at least be willing to try this, because there is an untapped labor market out there of people that just need a chance. And don't get me wrong, you can do it wrong and completely get burned on it. You need someone, with a little bit of experience like myself or someone else, or at least come up with a plan where you can limit your exposure, limit your liability. But man, there is a tremendous labor pool out there. And these are people that once you give them a chance, they feel like they owe you their life. I mean, I've had people that, as we built them up and they got these new opportunities, I've had to tell them, look, you need to take this opportunity. Don't let this fence hold you back. But they feel like, but man, you gave me a chance. And I'm like, yeah, but this is what it's leading to. So go do it.
Right.
So that would be what I'm trying to, I want to change the hiring landscape across Tulsa, across Oklahoma, maybe across the nation. I mean, I don't, but that's my dream. So
that's amazing. And like I said, very, very inspirational. So Nate, thanks so much for being here and sharing your story and your business superpower with us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.